Hello and welcome back to Kids Get Money YouTube, where we are working on breaking down how to get better at money for you, your kids and your family. Today, I am joined by sales and energy coach Alexis Fotaras to talk about how to make money fun again. Have you ever caught yourself saying, "We can't afford that," and then noticed your kids' faces drop? The reason for that is because they aren't just learning from what you say, they're learning from what you do, they're learning from your energy. And I thought that today, no one better than Alexis to help us break this down. Alexis, welcome.
Thank you, Miss Annette. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about what you do, and maybe just a little lead into the work that you and I have done together and where that started. That would be great.
We started working back in 2016, 17, a long, long time ago. And my work has stayed steady in helping women activate their inner truth and be able to speak about money in a really loving, gorgeous way, and to be able to open up that conversation with their kids. And, the journey that we've been on, especially with where you came from, and I know that you're going to talk more about your story as well. And we get so, and I know that for myself, I put so much pressure on myself around money, and I didn't want to talk about money. And one of my biggest things that I didn't realize that I was doing was I believed that the man had to bring in the money and the woman didn't. Once I was in a relationship with somebody, I never really put in a huge amount of work or allowed myself to shine and earn a huge capacity of money. And once I shifted that energy and shifted that mindset that I am allowed to create massive wealth for myself and massive wealth for my family, and it's okay to feel safe with large amounts of money, everything started to shift and change, and the opportunities and the doors that started to open were wild. And when Zoe was about, I'd say 6 or 7, I was a single parent and had to teach her that being like what I did for work was what was creating the lifestyle that we had, like that we were living. And so when I say, "Can you just give mum an hour so that I can do blah," whatever that blah was, and she didn't understand it. So then I opened up my bank account. I said, "So when you look like mum's just on the phone having a conversation with somebody and you don't understand that that's work. So this is the result that happens when mum has these kind of conversations." She's like, "Oh, I get it." I said, "This is why we're able to do whatever it was, go down and have a nice dinner together or go out and do fun stuff." And so she started to understand that, great, now I get why mum and dad go to work, so that I can do whatever that is. It really shifted for myself, and it really shifted inside of her as well, in regards to the conversations we were able to have at home, and how she then respected when I said, "Mum's got work to do, let me do this, and then the reward will be whatever the reward was
Yeah,
afterwards."
I love that. And when you and I met, my situation was that things were really just going sideways with everything to do with money. And it's astonishing to me to look back and think that for me, money was always hidden when I was a child. It was a source of extreme stress for our family. I had seen that, I'd absorbed it, I had completely brought that way of being with money into my marriage, into my parenting. And I believed that because I had to be very self-sufficient as a kid, that I had to be very self-sufficient with money, and to the point where I couldn't let anybody into that. And it resulted in a complete breakdown of money for our family. And when I met Alexis, it was about having that conversation of, well, why? Why is this happening for you? And Alexis is such a genius at energy that it took us about 30 minutes to get to the bottom of that why. And it was so obvious once I had actually started to talk to somebody about it. And when I look back and think that for 20 years I'd carried that on my own, it's actually It was actually quite interesting to me that that was the case. But moving forwards from that, the changes, Alexis is talking about the way that she started to talk about things with her daughter. And for me, our kids had done exactly the same thing that I had done. So our kids were a little bit older when Alexis and I met, and they had started to absorb all of those hidden stress, anger, scarcity types of messages from my behavior and from the behavior that my husband and I were modeling for them, because we didn't actually understand the energy of money. And as Alexis and I started to move forward, she would share with me some of the fantastic games that she plays or used to play with Zoe when she was younger, with money. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about some of those games, Alexis? Since we're here to tell parents about how do we transform our thinking about money? How do we transform it in a way that is open and honest, age appropriate, because it isn't always appropriate to be sharing the full stress of the situation with your kids. But how do we start from our own insides to make money more fun?
Yes, so I did a lot of work around money mindset and the energy of money as I was moving into my coaching business back when I started about 9 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever it was. And I cannot remember for the life of me what book it was in or what podcast I was listening to. But they were talking about being in the energy of abundance and knowing that money is a frequency and knowing money that is an energy. And the more abundant that we feel and the more giving we are, more comes back. And so I started to play this game with Zoe where we'd take a little pot of 5, 10, 15 cents. We don't even have 15 cents. 5, 10, 20, 50 cents. And we'd walk down the street and we'd just put a dollar coin, a 50-cent coin somewhere, and we'd get into the energy of imagine how much fun, like it's so much fun when you find 5 cents on the ground or you find 10 cents on the ground, and it doesn't matter the amount of money that it is, it's around the frequency that you are in when you're giving it, but also what that person's going to receive when they find that money. Yeah, Zoe and I used to have so much fun when we'd walk down to the shops and there was this fence that we'd always put some money on, and we're like, oh, I wonder if it's going to be there when we get back, or I wonder, who picked it up, or blah, 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 blah. And we would just have so much fun playing in that realm. And as Zoe's been growing up, she wants to know about money. She's now 15. She wants to get a job so that she's got her own money. And my older sister actually bought her a little box, and on the front of the box, you cross off how much money you're putting in. So whether it's a $5 note, whether it's a $10 note, a $50 note, or if you've accumulated $100, you put it in, you cross it off, and by the end of it, you do save $10,000. And
that's fantastic, isn't it? So like making that goal really tangible for them, so that they can actually see. You and I talk sometimes about the money thermometer, and when we're in that sales mode about being able to track and see and having those goals. What a great idea! I love that.
And it's also around the capacity that you can hold at an energetic level with where your nervous system's sitting at. So if you start looking at people that win the lotto, they don't know how to manage the money. They don't know what to do with the money. So they go and spend it crazily, and then they end up in a worse position than when they started, because they're not educated on how to allow the money just to sit there and be in your bank account. And you don't have to, just because the money's there, you don't have to always go out and spend it and live this big, large life. It's about really deciding and tuning into, how do you want to live your life? Not how anybody else wants you to live your life. How do you want to live your life? What's the amount of money that's required for you to live the life that you want to be living? Are you living out of your means just to keep up with what society is telling you that you should look like? So you're in a massive amount of credit card debt. You have got loans after loans after loans, because on the outside it looks like
I was.
The outside it looks like you've got everything together, and on the inside and behind closed doors, it's it's stress, it's frustration, it's anger, it's arguments with your partner because you're either hiding something from your partner, or the two of you just don't know, because you're not educated enough on what it is that you need to be doing with the money. And I know for a really long time I was not educated on how to manage money. And when you started creating Kids Get Money, I was like, oh my goodness, yeah, Zoe and I can jump into this and we can play around. And Zoe loved it because she's like, oh, I actually understand it. Zoe's really good at mathematics, but you can learn mathematics, or you can learn how to understand how to manage money. And that was always my biggest problem. I always knew how to make a huge amount of cash in my business, but I never knew how to manage it on the back end. So I wasn't creating wealth for myself. I was still on the feast famine mode, even when I was doing $30,000 cash months in my bank account, in my business, because I just didn't know how to hold it and I wasn't taught how to manage it. I also was uneducated and didn't allow myself to get knowledgeable about it because I was scared. I wasn't scared. I was more embarrassed that I got into my late 30s not knowing how to manage my money when it came into my bank account. And now it's a really open and honest and easy conversation to have, because there shouldn't be shame, there shouldn't be embarrassment. It's about going, okay, great, I got myself here. How do I now get myself out of it? What has
And
to happen?
everybody has somewhere they've come from when it comes to money. Even I think sometimes I have conversations with people, and I call it my origin story, but my story is very, reasonably simple to understand and follow. But what is super interesting is that you can take two kids raised in exactly the same loving home where everything seems quite average, quite normal, quite happy, and those two kids can pick up something completely different from the energy of money, and it can take a heartbeat for that to be taken in and to be left in there as your money mindset for years and years and years, unless you're able to understand that money does have an energy and that there's nothing wrong with where you've come from. Everybody's come from somewhere. I think that's right, that shame and embarrassment that we hold, even to the point where we think about what we're supposed to be to our children. Are we supposed to know everything, or can there be gratefulness and fun and a little bit of vulnerability there again, back to the age appropriate warning, but a little bit of fun there about saying, one of the things that I do recall, and I'm going to get Sasha, who's our middle child, she's now 21, onto the YouTube channel in a couple of weeks to talk about this. But one of the things that we really had to work on hard was how much money we were spending in the supermarket. It sounds ridiculous, but when you have three kids and you're living in Sydney, which is one of the most expensive cities, I think, in the world to actually live in, we were spending so much money on groceries. I realised that I had fallen time and time again for the sales sticker versus just that simple moment of saying, well, hang on a minute. What is that marketing message they're trying to sell me? Is that actually a bargain? Is that actually on sale? Or should I now be looking at the unit prices? One of the things that my kids absolutely love is being able to go into the supermarket and for me to say, we're having nachos. What's the cheapest? What's the cheapest you can come out of that supermarket with all the things that we need, based on what's happening on the unit prices on the shelves, not the sales stickers. I mean, sure, sometimes the sales are real, but sometimes they're not. We love that. The kids have really gotten into it, and it's something that they've taken into adulthood now that's really helping them when they're trying to find their independence as students, or kind of in their entry part of their career of earning money. So yeah, really interesting. Right, so that's great. So we've talked about energy. We've talked about what are some of those tips for being able to make money more fun. What's one thing you would leave our guests with, Alexis, about if things are feeling super stressed right now, for somebody listening, if they are exactly where we have both been in different circumstances, what would be the one piece of advice you would give parents listening today?
Is really allowing yourself to sit down and take full accountability and responsibility that every action that you have taken right up until this very moment has been a decision and a choice that you have made. And you get to change that in this very moment. And it's easier said than done, I know, because I've had multiple tantrums over the years and cried myself to sleep and haven't been able to get out of bed because I put so much pressure on myself around my financial situation and how I chose to manage it, that when I took a step back, I went, I'm the one that's in control. I am the creator. I can change this. It's not going to happen overnight, the change, but set up a spreadsheet create a spreadsheet. I break everybody's spreadsheet known to man, but I can create my own little spreadsheet.
Because it is simple. It's not about maths or complexity. Yeah.
No, and start acknowledging and looking at where you're spending your money and what else is coming in, but also watching and looking at how do you receive? How are you receiving when someone wants to buy you a coffee? How are you open and receiving to someone wanting to buy you a dinner? Open and receiving to gifts. If someone's going to give you a gift, how do you receive that? You go, oh no, that's a bit too much. I don't want that. Or do you go, oh my God, thank you so much. That was amazing. I'm going to cherish that, or whatever that looks like. Because the more that you're grateful for the things that you currently already have, more of the things that you currently already have start to show up. And the more that you're in gratitude, things just starts to open up, and you're like, I don't even know, because the opportunity was always there. It was that you were closed off at an energy level to the opportunity. I can't even tell you what's happening in my world right now and how I completely have been open to the opportunities in the last 3 weeks. I've quantum leaped, and it's been my biggest cash month to date. And I've just yesterday got an opportunity out of nowhere because I'm having conversations about my bigger vision, big goal, big dream. So the thing that I want you to start to take away from, if you are sitting in scarcity or you're sitting in a space where you're really struggling to understand and you may be feeling embarrassed or shame, be okay that you're there. Be okay with it. Acknowledge
no judgment. It's that judge, such a harsh judge of ourselves and where we are, but it is what it is. It's just a point in time.
And we just we create so many stories around something that realistically you get to change in an instant. When you go, okay, I'm going to get the finance books. I'm going to start reading, or I'm going to do a program and I'm going to start learning, or jump
I'm
into
going to do Kids Get Money with my kids.
Jump into Kids Get Money and start learning and go, I'm teaching my kids how to manage money, when secretly you're doing it for yourself, but you get to do it together as a family.
And that really dovetails. We didn't even plan this, but my tip today for families to start bringing money into the light, to bring it into a place where it's talked about in your family and we're all sharing that load, is to genuinely put in a weekly money meeting. It can be 10 minutes, it can be 15 minutes, but you all just come around the table, grab your cup of tea, whatever it is you're having, and have a chat about it. How did things go this week with money? What did you spend money on? How did that feel for you? Did you find any money this week? Did you receive anything this week? Starting to talk about it in very simple terms will really help you to start paving the way to those more complex conversations with your family. Everybody will be, I think initially, everybody is like, this is weird. Why are we doing this? But it's good. It's good weird. So stick with it, and that brings us to the end of our episodes. So don't forget to subscribe. We will be coming back every week to talk about real tips for real families to teach their kids about money. Thanks so much for tuning in. Share the episode. Have a fabulous day.
Bye.
Thanks, Alexis. Bye.